All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 247, I think. So today, there are once again no updates on the supposed appeal of the LTB order to dismiss the N13 evictions. And if you want more details on the current state of the eviction, you can get up to date with the latest video that I released on the topic. And up until yesterday, when I sold my last sponsored block type, you could go to the Shopify Store to buy a sponsored block type. And I sold the last one yesterday, so I need to add some more new ones. And for the last month or so, I've been focusing on getting that last video out. So I haven't focused on much else during the day, but now I'm going to shift my attention back. I'll spend a few days fixing some stuff up with the block mining game. So today, I've been saying for a while, I need to add in, I have some like prototype code for the multiplayer client and server. And I want to refactor that to, so there's two clients. There's a client for the single player, client for the multiplayer. I will probably refactor that to make it, to generalize it, and then put all of that in one client. And there's also, of course, some updates that have to be made to the server. So today, actually, I got that working and pushed that in. Then I should probably also, I gotta add some new block types for the Shopify store. And also, I should probably think a bit more about the actual mechanics of like the progression. I said before, maybe you would have like an intermediary step where you mine wood and then turn wood into charcoal or something. But there's no specific cast number for charcoal, so I'll have to figure out some details there. All right, let's test that it works. I actually noticed in the last few days there's a bug I have where it's like gets stuck in the loop, and it's like I noticed a while ago, but I couldn't select text while it started, and I think it's because it's constantly doing something in the background and like updating things, but I don't notice. So this is the new code to deploy the server. And this is the multiplayer client, which is, so this is actually It looks exactly the same. It's much slower. But everything is going through, all the messages are going through the network layer. So they're being serialized into binary, and now there's still a bunch of updates that'll have to be made to this before it's like production ready. I'll probably have to move to a model where I send like commands to the server, and then the server will process those commands. Okay, that works. I guess maybe what I'll do actually is I'll open up a debugger. Moriarty says, "Hi, Robert. How's it going?" Robert, you are the best. Thank you. It's true. I am the best. Robert, have you worked with Gaussian splats? They're fun. I don't think so. What exactly are they? My intuition tells me it's some kind of like an operation you would do in a paint program, but I don't know. I've used Gaussian blur. Michael Parker 3188 says, what is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. Maybe that is the problem. I think that is the problem. So what that'll have to be is Roger saying 8-Y7Z says, hey, what's up? Your username reminds me of the compression program called 7-Zip, because it ends with 7Z. Okay, I think that'll fix the infinite loading, but I don't know if that's if block dictionary has equals on it. And decay is randomly generated. Gaussian splats is a quick way to build 3D scenes from photos and videos using colorful fuzzy blobs, 3D ellipses with position size, color transparency. 3D scenes from photos and videos using colorful fuzzy blobs. Interesting. That almost sounds like it's about 3D scenes. That almost sounds like it could be a fairly complicated and it could have like a lot of different. I don't know exactly the technique. Is it like primarily like one specific mathematical interpolation process, and then you end up with like one geometry? But it sounds like you could to do that you could have like a multiple stage pipeline where you do like some point cloud estimation and then feed that into some other stuff and some LiDAR and then eventually you feed that into some AI models, and then the AI models give you like a super realistic scene. Do you know about PC building? I can usually figure out what I need to do, but I don't put them together often. I find like every time I go to build a new computer, there's like a totally new interface or design standard that's like I haven't read about in years. What are you building? A terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks. Exactly. Crazy how on point you are. Yeah, I guess when you said the fact that it says Gaussian, that makes me think of it. It's like one specific mathematical technique that you can do in like 20 lines of code with some like Gaussian thing. But I guess you could probably go in with all the stuff we have now. You could go in lots of directions with all that. The future is going to be crazy. And I think on that topic, I think especially now with like military stuff ramping up, and like the fact that GeoGuessr was trending, that was like there's a lot of people competing in that, learning about, like if you see a blue sign, it's like, oh, you're in some specific, or if you see Darwin grass, Then you're like, oh, we're in that random place in Australia that has Darwin grass. And I think there's like an AI tool now that does that automatically. You can like take a picture of any person like on some sidewalk or some obscure place, and then ask this AI, like, where is this? And it'll show you on Google Maps. AMD Ryzen 7 3700X AMD Radeon RTX 1 terabyte. I saw this on Facebook Marketplace for $650 CAD. I think it's a good buy. Honestly, I don't really know. I'm completely out of the. If I was going to get back into that, I would go watch some Linus Tech Tips videos about budget PC building and stuff. I don't know, $650 for 1 terabyte solid state drive. That sounds decent. 16 gigs RAM. That's standard. Having said that, like 16 gigs of RAM can be you can have it could be fast, or like just knowing that it's 16 gigs DDR4 doesn't say how fast it is or anything. I guess, and if it's like, I would also kind of question, like, is this something, did someone custom build this, or was it like a pre-bought thing? Because sometimes too, if it's a custom build and the person didn't match the RAM right to the motherboard, it could be like the voltage could be off by like 0.1 or something, and then so now the reliability is going to be worse because it's not like spec'd properly matched, and you get compatibility problems with certain motherboards and certain graphics cards. That's something to think about. But other than that, I'm out of my element in knowing the latest. It sounds like it might be an okay buy. Tail hat. I can't read that name. Greetings. How's it going? Scary good too. From here, of a detail I can pinpoint exactly the location. Can we put links here? I think they'll get like moderated. They won't show up. They'll get like. I probably. If you want to reference something, you could just describe it. Let people Google it on their own. But I think even if you do try to post links, it won't work. Okay. This thing needs a dot equals. What are you making? I'm making a terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite, procedurally generated universe. Good now to return to the void. You mentioned that a few times, to return to the void. Is this live stream what you refer to as the void? where my house is. Your house is the void. I'm in Waterloo. Need to choose between Calc 3 and Intro to Combinatorics. 1K, these are useless to tech, but which would you recommend to choose for CS related stuff? I would say, so Intro to Combinatorics, was that CS 342? It was a 340 something course. So I'm pretty sure it was Intro to Combinatorics. And I found that course extremely difficult. There were two major components to the Intro to Combinatorics one. So I don't think I did Calc 3. I did Calc 2. 239, yeah. Yeah, enumeration and graph theory. I would say probably this question's about like which is easier, like if you just want to like get through the program and not fail. But I would say like in terms of usefulness to your career and also like getting jobs in interviews, I would say I'm quite confident saying Intro to Combinatorics. I found in that course the enumeration stuff. So it was a lot about like what's it called? I forget. Forgetting all my terms. Mentally speaking, I found like my mental intuition about the first half of the course, the enumeration stuff, and all the like recurrence sequences. I think that's what it was. It was kind of like similar to like a lot of like production rules and stuff. It almost reminded me of like how in grammars you have production rules. How you start out with but it was a bit more like just like applied to some mathematical stuff, but like you have a number where you can generate new numbers in the numbers of a certain pattern. But anyway, and I found a lot of people in the class either excelled at one or the other of the enumeration part or the graph theory part, and they struggled with the other part. And generally speaking, I don't think there was much like mental overlap. At least there was not a huge theoretical connection made between those two during the course. But I would say the graph theory stuff is an absolute favorite for interview questions. And I think it does actually, there are a decent number of things that you will, like kind of big problems. Like I'm sure, like a company like Amazon would actually use graph theory probably quite a bit for like actual, routing of their packages and stuff like that. And I think I recall someone being hired from Waterloo, and they actually used like they did like graph theory optimization for like route optimization of like telling where the delivery driver should go and stuff. But yeah, graph theory. Graph theory is one of those things where if most of the vocabulary of graph theory, like if you talk about like Hamiltonian cycles and traveling salesman problem and stuff, if you have never heard of those terms, you're gonna on an interview, you're just gonna be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and then you will completely fail that interview question. But if you know what it is, you can maybe struggle your way through it. Yeah, I kind of liked graph theory. It was I found it difficult. The proofs took quite a bit of time for me. In terms of Calc 3, I would say if you really want to go into, if you see your future is doing like a lot of physics or like, let's see, I did a Calc 2. Calc 2 was a lot of limits and infinite sequences and stuff. I would imagine Calc 3 is maybe probably like vector calculus and some other stuff. Yeah, if you do a lot of physics in the future, maybe Calc 3, but I would say most likely, and if you want to like get prepared for the standard interview questions, the graph theory stuff for combinatorics is where you want to go. But I also, it was really difficult. 239 was really difficult. I think it might be like my second lowest mark of anything in my undergrad. The letter. Hello, Rubber Delta software and team. How's anyone doing? I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Someone made an argument for Calc 3. Its usefulness to AI ML gaming. I could definitely see like the application to gaming for like physics engines and stuff, and like real world analysis. I don't know. I would be skeptical. Well, I would be willing to be proved with a counter argument, but I wouldn't expect there to be too much relationship between AI and machine learning in Calc 3. If you do like old school backpropagation, old school backpropagation is like literally just some calculus. So when you do like the formal statistical proofs, there is a decent amount of calculus for like calculating energy functions and stuff. I'm not super. I'm not much of an expert on machine learning or AI, but especially some of the more old school AI, there's a lot of calculus. Large language models are probably not as much of that stuff. But yeah, if I had to guess, my guess would be that there probably isn't that much overlap between most of the AI work you would do in industry and what you would learn in Calculus 3. I mean, you even may, there probably would be just as much or more overlap with AI and the graph theory stuff. because in very large machine learning models, you have to figure out how to like connect and route the connections and stuff. I would imagine at scale, there's a lot of those things that devolve into graph problems. Trying to get into systems dev roles. Yeah, I would lean toward the graph theory course. Although if you can find someone who can convince you that there really is, that what you're going to learn in Calc 3, that there is a lot of that in AI. Then again, also in gaming too, in like physics engines stuff and rendering engines, there probably is lots of like hardcore calculus. But then again, the demand for that stuff is like the people who like doing that really, really like doing it. And I think the distinct number of people that actually use calculus all day in gaming engines is probably not that large. It's probably like on the order of like, a few thousand people. So it might be, I don't know, you have to look into it. But it's probably a saturated area. I'm all right. Excellent. What is your opinion on giant piloted robots, aka mecha? Giant piloted robots. I don't know. I haven't really formed an opinion on that. You say mecha? I don't know if is that a specific thing. That like a certain character from. I don't know what that reference is. Does not override hash code. What is your opinion on market analysis as a part of an ongoing business, specifically around product need or related pricing timing? Opinion on our market analysis as part of an ongoing business. That's a very general question. I mean, I think any functional business should be constantly evaluating what the need is for their product, assuming the company exists and it has sales. Ultimately, the best like analysis and measurement of the need for that product is like, how are they making sales? Or do you mean like an early stage business that doesn't have sales and is trying to figure out the market? All right, that looks like it might have fixed that reloading issue. Nice. Okay, that's fixed. Now, the other thing that I did last night that wasn't working was this code here. Now, theoretically, that code should replace all this. But when I added this, it didn't work. So we'll go step by step to figure it out. Well, that might be why. Because the constructor is different. Kitty Catface says, how's the polar bears in your backyard doing, Robert? They're pretty good, but they're getting pretty cold this time of year. And it's snowing out right now. It's a snowstorm. I think I saw we're supposed to get some record snowfall in Toronto. An area. So hopefully the polar bears don't get buried in the snow. And then we'll have to, because if they do, we'll have to have an emergency relief fund. We'll have to start using taxpayer money to rescue those poor polar bears. And it's rough because we have got so many other things that we need those tax dollars for. Okay, that worked. So let's try that. All right, that doesn't work. What could it be? All right, that works. That's progress. All right, that might work. Excellent. It's making a 3D game on a 2D sprite machine hard. I'm not sure. I guess technically this is a 3D game, and the terminal is a 2D sprite machine. So I guess not really. It's pretty easy. Thank you for the $2. I will add that to the World Domination Fund. All right, this might work. Excellent. Wow, the viewers is going up. 19, 20. I might just leave that there. I could maybe simplify that more, but that's fine for now. Okay, the next directions that I could go in. There's lots of stuff that I could do. So I actually, now that I have the multiplayer code, now we can actually start simplifying this together on the stream. Fire indeed. So I think there's like a conflation of concerns. So I think this will need to be split into like a couple classes. Kind of afraid to address this. What are you using? What is this development environment? This development environment is this is not normally what I code in. It's just what the easiest thing for stream. It's an old crappy old laptop that I have that I do that actual developing here on, and then I have another separate computer for the streaming. So the actual development environment is just Vim. It's just vanilla Vim with no plugins. I tried using plugins for a while back in the day. It is on my to-do list to start using to start getting into some of the AI coding stuff. That's actually why I learned. I have it open, don't I? Yeah, there we go. IntelliJ. So I started learning in IntelliJ a bit, but actually I haven't been using it as much. It's really slow on this old computer. Although there are some times when I just need it for debugging. But I'm kind of disappointed with it because I can't use the newer versions because the newer versions of IntelliJ have so many bugs. I have to use like a version from like June because there's all these weird things where the debugger doesn't work and I can't compile stuff. Vim, not NeoVim. I'm not opposed to using NeoVim. A bunch of people recommend it. I've just never gotten around to really trying it on super hardcore. I guess I should probably. The AI coding's probably been around long enough now. I probably can. There probably is a way to get. I think people recommended me cloud code, so I'll try to get eventually once I start dipping my toes into it. I'll probably start trying cloud code with NeoVim. That seems to be what everyone recommends. Up until now, like I started this thing because I thought it'd be fun to try some AI coding on stream, and then there was some plugin I was going to install it and like sign up for an account and everything, but the reviews were just so bad that I just made me not even want to bother because they said like copy and pasting doesn't even work, and that it had like they're like this is not as good as this other coding tool. But I've just been kind of holding out, waiting for all the bugs and the model context protocol and stuff and all that. Like I don't want to spend hours and days screwing around with bugs in some plugin. So, I've just been. I honestly I don't even code that much lately. I've just been coding on stream. Tell me about it. Trying to use it on my old laptop. Hella slow. Talking about IntelliJ. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird bugs too, like in these configurations. So down here in this VM options. So to run my game, I have to pass in these options. So these would be like the arguments that I'd run as if I were on the command line. So I have to go d spring boot run arguments. And this works perfectly fine. It's not a Spring version thing. I can literally open the same project in two different versions of IntelliJ. This one will work. But what it's doing is it does not recognize if there's a space, so that space, it will consider that space the end of the arguments, and then it passes it wrong. And then the other thing was, emulate terminal does not work because I guess they refactored their. Someone told me they refactored how their console works in like the latest version, and the issue is some of the feature detection doesn't work, and also it doesn't respond to cursor position reports anymore, which makes it not work if I run it directly in the IDE. But that's only if I try to run it. If I try to actually run the game down here in the console, which was just a kind of fun, I guess an impressive demo, but I guess it doesn't work anymore. To each their own. I personally don't want to use AI in coding, at least until I'm confident enough in my skills. Yeah, I feel like I feel obligated to try it because everyone's using it. And it almost seems like I'm going to be a noob if I don't learn to use it. But I think I think you're on the right track. It does make sense. You're going to be most effective with it if you learn how to use it first. I guess I kind of have been using it in the Google search results. I'll Google how to do something, and then the Google AI results have kind of taken over Stack Overflow. But it's also like it was kind of nice when you Google how to do something, and then you find it on Stack Overflow, and it's got like 6,000 upvotes, and someone has this really nice concise answer, and with very high confidence, you can copy and paste that, and it'll work. But with the Google AI coding stuff, I find more and more I'm just like, it's like, okay, is this just like AI slop? Like you copy and paste it, and it'll be calling a function, but it's not sending the right number of parameters, or it's using it wrong or something. Sometimes it's right. But you have to exercise a lot more due diligence with it. Painful. Any bugs in your development environment are a huge headache. Yeah, it was. I wasted a ton of time trying to figure it out. I had upgraded. I changed the Spring Boot version around that time, and I also went from, I think, Java 17 to Java 21. So for a while, I was sure that it was some like subtle problem. I thought maybe it's like how Spring changes how they fork the process or something in the different versions. And I did all this process of elimination to identify the problem was the IDE itself. And then, of course, after I figured that out, there's not much I can do about that. It's just I just have to start using an older version and then hope they fix it in the new one. How many USB slots does my motherboard have? You mean for questions for AI or? Arrow Part 2 says, I guess is that a face emoji expression? I've taken over your chat. Anyways, I'll let you get back to work. Actually, I'll probably call it a night. I think I accomplished a small task tonight, 2 small tasks. I've only been doing maybe an hour nightly. For the last month or so, I've been working on the last video, but now that's out, I'm kind of organizing some stuff, getting caught up. For the next few days, I'll probably tomorrow I'll add some new block types to the Shopify store so people can buy stuff from me. And let's see. I'll think about what kind of game mechanic the next new crafting recipes to add and stuff. And then after that, after the next few days, I guess I'll have to start thinking about the next video, or the next project, next thing to put all my time into. Google it. Add meme at the end. Oh, okay. I've never heard of this meme. I'll have to Google it for sure. All right. Oh, I got 21. I guess we'll have to quit while we're ahead. We'll end the stream. That'll be it for tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow night for, I think it's day 248. All right. Have a good night, guys.